In 1110, we're going to be solving equations that have square roots. So much like we did with equations that had absolute value, or even just equations where we were solving for x, we need to isolate the square root. So that's your first goal, is to get the square root by itself. So in example 1, the square root is already by itself. So in order to get rid of that square root, we are going to square both sides. Whatever we do to one side, we have to do to the other. So what this means is root x times root x. Well, we looked at that a few sections ago, and that's really root x squared, which is just x. Anytime you square a root, so let's say it's root 5 times root 5, that's just a regular 5. Root x times root x is just a regular x. So on the left side we have a regular x, and then when we square 5, we're going to get 25. And so that's our answer, x equals 25. And keep in mind you can plug that in to check it. All right, let's look at example 2. Is the square root by itself? That's really the first question you want to ask yourself, and it is. So we can square both sides. So ask yourself, what is root 2m times root 2m? It's just a regular 2m. That's what is happening when you're squaring a root. So root 2m times root 2m is just 2m. And then on the right side you would have 4 squared, which is 16. Then you can keep solving. M equals 8. Keep in mind you can plug that in to check. Okay, looking at example 3, is the square root by itself? Hopefully you see that it's not. So your first step would be to subtract 6. And when I subtract 6, I'm going to have the square root of 4m minus 3 is equal to 4. Now, is the square root by itself? Yes. So you can square both sides. So root 4m minus 3 times root 4m minus 3 is just 4m minus 3. And you're going to get equals 16 on the right. Then we're just going to solve our equation like we always have. And you're going to get m is equal to 19/4. And you can leave it just like that. And of course, you can plug it in to check, and you should do that. And this one will check. Okay, example 4 looks a little different because there's square roots on both sides, and that's okay. So look at the left side. Is the square root by itself? Yes. Well, you can square both sides. So that's what we're going to do. So when you square root 3x, you're going to get a regular 3x. Now on the right side, I'm going to write this one down because this one's a little different since we have a number in front. So you have a 2 root 15 times a 2 root 15, which is going to be 4 root 225. Well, that's going to end up being 4 times 15, which is 60. So if you were to do that by hand, where you couldn't use a calculator, those would be your steps. And then on the left, we still have 3x. And then we can solve, and we have x equals 20. And so, of course, you can plug that in to check, but it will check.